Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lazio Lounge. I'm Vittorio Campanile. With me, as usual, Alistair McKenzie. Alistair, I would say mission accomplished, right? Because Lazio had to win this match to keep the Champions League dream alive. And we can say that we did it. Lazio delivered 3-1 win. It could be even 5-1. We had so many chances. But I mean, what we wanted were the 3 points, and we got it. So that was the important thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's only been a day since we last spoke, and when we were talking about this game yesterday, it was a case of, I guess we were feeling relatively confident and kind of laid out all the reasons that Lazio can believe they can get result from this game. Not being impressed with Zenit in the last match, it being a home match again, having more players available. But the confidence with which Lazio played tonight was really pretty striking, to be honest. I was really impressed. I mean, it was far better than I was expecting. And you're right, it could have been more comfortable than 3-1. Maybe should have been, but we can't complain about a 3-1 win at home in the Champions League. That, let's be honest, is now put one foot, can we say, in the knockout stages. I mean, we're one win now away. One win from our last two games is enough to be in the knockout rounds. It's incredible.
Yes, because we didn't mention, but Borussia Dortmund destroyed Club Brugge, right? So Lazio is second, 1 point behind Borussia Dortmund, and with 4 points ahead of Club Brugge. Zenit is official out. They can't reach the Europa League, obviously, but they have no chance anymore to get to the Champions League. So, yes, that's the other very important fact. Stefan Scarpulla, a Roma la Lazio. Yep, you're right. Alistair, I'm impressed by the performance of Lazio. On the other side, that goal that we allowed in the first half made me a little bit nervous. Yeah, it was the first chance they had, This is typical from us. And again, Lazio only twice this year finished with a clean sheet, and twice it was away in a away match. So we have to start thinking about that. Stefan Campula, regardless of Germany, a draw at home with Bruges, take us through. Bravo, Simone Inzaghi. I want to win against Club Brugge, honestly, at home. Because I think we proved to be a better team, Alistair.
Well, can I just say bravo, Stephen, for actually wanting to talk about positive things instead of immediately talking about the goal we conceded. I mean, come on, the first two goals we scored were amazing. Let's focus on that. That was incredible. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I tweeted from the Lazio Lounge account before the game started, like, as soon as you saw Ciro in the tunnel and Ciro lining up for the anthem, I thought, my God, this guy, he has got that look in his eyes today where you just knew something was going to happen. Like, he looked so determined, looked so fired up. And then 3 minutes into the game, he gets the ball on the edge of the box and bangs it in the top corner. I think his first touches. And that was a goal that was made by Lucas. Lucas passed to Immobile finish. The two players we are missing for the last two Champions League games. So
even Luis
it was
Alberto.
some kind of poetic justice there, I think, though, with that goal. It was beautiful. But yeah, I mean, the one thing that I thought would have made this night even better was if Murici had finished his chance at the end there. I was thinking that would be the thing, if Murici could finally score. And it was a good save, to be fair. Murici did really well to create that chance and get on the end of it, but that would have been the best thing. But what a difference Ciro makes, honestly.
Yeah. By the way, thanks to everybody who's joining us, both on YouTube and on Twitter. I thought Alistair, the Zenit goalkeeper, made 2 or 3 great saves. Otherwise, really, Lazio could have won 5-1. One against Murici, and the Italian commentator said, well, Marchegiani, former Lazio goalkeeper, said, you can understand why he shot, but if he passed the ball to Correa, Correa would have easily scored. I don't know if Correa was on offside, but yeah, that would be the perfect end of the night, of the match, because Lazio played very great football, and seeing Murici scores the first goal with Lazio would have mean a lot for him, and I think he would have benefited from that. Erfan, Lazio, Grande Lazio. Tom Aquino, too easy. Let's not forget, we are talking about the best team in Russia. It's not Crotone. I mean, this is the best team in Russia, and Lazio, even in the away game where we had a lot of players missing, I thought Lazio played better than Zenit, and today was pretty obvious. So let's not forget that this is Champions League. You're playing against the best team in Europe. So definitely it wasn't that easy. Aka Baran, I really like Akpa Pro. He's solid. Maybe can become a starter next. Alistair, again, another great performance from Akpa Pro. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because at the beginning of the season, we would go, wow, Akpa Pro is starting, is coming in. What a surprise. And now in the second half, we're saying, time for Akpa Pro to come in. So a lot of things changed.
Yeah, and I mean, we've talked about him over and over again, so we don't need to do it every time, but all credit to him for the impact he's made. I think that the point I'd like to make on the back of that is just touching on something I tweeted at the end of this game, which was that, we've made this point before, but I think it's important to make it again now that we've got a second win in the Champions League, unbeaten after 4 games. Yes, this isn't the hardest group in the Champions League group stages, but Lazio haven't been in this competition since 2007. This is not a level in European football that they're used to competing at, especially this squad, which is really inexperienced in the Champions League, full stop. And they're having to do this despite having had a depleted squad throughout the season, throughout the Champions League campaign, COVID absences, injury absences, all sorts of problems, playing, basically taking half of a youth team to Belgium with them. And they managed to get in this position with 2 games to spare. They're, 2 points away from qualifying for the next round. And this is a year after we had a superb season in Serie A, of course, but the squad depth and the issue of playing 2 games a week was that we went out of the Europa League in the group stages because this team wasn't up to it. Because whenever we did rotate the team, they couldn't get results against Cluj, against Celtic, against Rennes, and so we crashed out and had a horrible Europa League campaign. 1 year on, it does make a difference. The difference is basically between Valon Berisha giving away the ball to Celtic in the last minute of a Celtic game, and Akpa Akpro, for example, who's just been name checked, coming on and playing really well every time he's asked to. I mean, it's just, it feels like there hasn't been an overhaul of the squad. There hasn't been huge signings or money being plowed into it or anything. I think it's just been a gradual improvement, and also the level we're getting out of guys like Marco Parolo still is ridiculous. Like Marco Parolo, where's that goal come from? How is he doing this still in the Champions League, age 35? I mean, it's amazing. So I'm really impressed by how Inzaghi's dealt with that challenge this season, because it's something he's been criticised before, and it's something that's improved so much this season, so obviously.
Can I say something? Yes, it wasn't a difficult group, but still, Lazio already played against Borussia Dortmund, and we are the only Italian team still undefeated in the Champions League. I mean, we have to give credit to this team. Borussia Dortmund is a great team, probably the second best in Germany. So arriving at this point unbeaten, this is an achievement. The second thing is, this is the first time that Ciro scores 2 goals in a Champions League match. So I think we have to celebrate this. We talked about Akpa Pro. We have to talk about Parolo. What a goal. But I mean, one of the biggest differences, Marusic played today, Cataldi came in, Akpa Pro came in, Murici came in. It's obviously that to play in the Champions League, you have to have a deeper bench, deeper solution, and Lazio have that. And we showed it this year. We showed it against Zenit. I think the team played much better, and you can see that they are gathering the momentum like they did a little bit last year. It was strange that the Ciro Immobile goal came from nowhere, Alistair. I was a little bit uncertain what happened. And same thing on the second goal, because watching it from home, the camera was wrong. You didn't see where the ball of Parolo was finishing. So I see the player celebrating, and I couldn't see the net. So I said, what?
What was going on with that? Because the
was
same thing happened with the Lazzari chance as well. They zoomed in on Lazzari, and I didn't see what had happened until they zoomed out again.
Yeah, that was strange. And considering that it's the Champions League, and so they prepare the camera before the match, something strange has happened, because someone moved the camera. Otherwise, there's no explanation. On the other side, let's talk about even Wesley Hodt, because a lot of our listeners complain about Wesley Hodt. I thought, again, he had a great performance today. Again, it wasn't easy because, especially in the second half, I don't know. How many strikers did Zenit play? 8, 9? I don't know. Every time there was a substitution, another attacking player was coming in. I don't know. They were playing like 2, 8 at a certain point with 8 attackers. So it wasn't easy for a defense to keep track of all of them. But I thought Hodt played quite well today, and this is promising because we know Vavrov was terrible last year, and the replacement is definitely Hodt, who's an improvement, I would say.
Yeah, and look, he's getting on with his job quietly. I mean, I think he was up against it from the start, and probably unfairly, because of the fact that everybody, first of all, already knew who he was and had opinions about the player he was because of his first spell at Lazio. But secondly, also because of the fact that there was a general perception, fairly in my opinion, that he was quite an underwhelming signing for a position where we were looking for someone stronger. To start the Mercato looking at someone like Marash Kumbula, who is considered one of the hottest young defensive properties in Serie A, and then to end it with bringing back a guy who's just had a pretty dodgy loan spell in Belgium, wasn't exactly that promising. But he I think deserves a bit of credit for the way he's playing. I think Inzaghi's been sensible in the way he's used him. At first, I expected him to use him more on the left side of that defence, and didn't trust him quite as much when he moved him in the centre. But actually, I've been proved wrong by that, because I think the good thing about using him in the centre of the back three is that he's basically asked to do a simpler job. He's asked to do the things he's best at, which is to get rid of the ball when it gets into the box, to win those aerial duels, to stand strong in the man-marking duels that he's asked to do, and not really be involved so much in the actual construction of the attacks to the possession-based areas of the game. Because we know that in Inzaghi's system, whoever's playing on the right or the left of that back three is going to be getting forward, is going to be connecting with the midfield, and asked to basically be involved in the construction of the moves. I don't think that's Hodt's area of expertise. So Inzaghi's being pretty sensible there. And also, in addition to that, let me say, again, Acerbi playing on the left is better at crossing than all of our wing backs. Why is this? Why is Acerbi better at that?
Yeah, you said it already 3 times in the last 3 podcasts. I think it's enough, right?
You must have had, but I just don't understand where he's been practicing crossing before. He's played as a centre back his whole career. Why is he good at crossing?
Not only he's good with both feet. He crossed with the left and with the right already, so he can play in both positions. Yes, one of the benefits of Hodt in the central position, I think he has more confidence there, because I think he can play in a sort of sweeper position like Lazio's playing now. He knows the system, and on the other side, Acerbi loves to play on the left side. Come on, let's be honest. He loves, and every time Lazio is in ball possession, you already see Acerbi running deep like he was Tucu Correa, running deep and hoping to get the ball. And he's always there. It's like Lazio having an extra attacker when Acerbi play on that position. So yeah, I think there are a lot of benefits. I don't know, Alistair, if you read David saying Akpa is healing my wounds after Bastos. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, I feel the same. Yeah, I mean, I was asked about this the other 2 podcasts ago. How do you fill the Bastos-shaped void in your life? And my only answer was Akpa Agpro, as in he is starting to become my favorite player now. I just love that guy. He's brilliant. So unexpected. I mean, no one will ever really replace Bastos for me.
In your heart, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's only one Bastos.
Eka asked, what do you guys think about Murici? Again, he has to get one thing. I don't know if Alice, you thought the same thing. In the first half, how many times did we put the ball in the box? I think at least 5, and Murici wasn't there. I mean, every time he's not playing, Lazio start putting the balls in the box. And that's where we need him more. So I think he's a fighter. I'm a little bit sorry he didn't score. Again, Zenit goalkeeper made an incredible save there. But I'm pleased. I'm happy to have him. Obviously, this is not the best Murici. He need to get to improve his form, etc. But yeah, I'm pleased that we have Murici. We said that Lazio needed a player like that. Now it's just time. Give him a little bit time to get used to Lazio's tactics.
Yeah, it would have been great if he'd managed to finish off that chance tonight, because I think he did really well in, like I've already said, setting it up and setting Alberto loose to get downfield. But I don't know. I do feel like there's an element of, because people are kind of bashing his technical ability quite a lot. I think for me, there's also an element of that being a matter of confidence. And I'd actually, to be honest with that, I kind of point to Ciro Immobile a bit as well, because we know Immobile, when his head goes down, when he doesn't have the confidence he needs, his touch gets heavy, his confidence goes, his passes are stray. There's a big element of Immobile's game that is confidence-based as well. And I'm not saying Murici is going to be the next Ciro Immobile, but I do think that Immobile is a good example of why we should give players the benefit of the doubt that they are capable of turning their form around if they get on a good run of form, or if they start feeling better about themselves. You're right, he's still new to the team. We can't judge him off substitute appearances too much. Only Caicedo can really make that kind of impact. So this is the problem Murici's got, is that he's either compared to Ciro Immobile from the start, or he's compared to Felipe Caicedo as a substitute, and that's an impossible job, impossible expectations.
Erfan saying, could you imagine seeing one day that Cataldi plays as captain in the Champions League? Well, it happened today, right? So he finished with a armband. So it's good for the only, well, not the only, but the only Roman player in the squad, because he's not the only Primavera. We have also Strakosha there, but he's the only Rome-born player finishing with a armband. It was nice to see, even because, again, every time he comes in, I think he's not Messi. Let's make it clear, but he gives everything, and that's what every fan wants to see from one of his players, right? Give everything that he has, even if it's not that much. I thought, again, every time he comes in, he performs. He's very dangerous on free kick. He didn't have a chance today, but yeah, I'm happy to see Cataldi back and having some time to play. There was a little bit of a concern yesterday, Alistair. I don't know if you saw it, because the first test was positive, so he had to redo the test, Cataldi, and luckily the second was negative. And so
sounds like a familiar story, doesn't it?
That never happened. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry. GV saying having Ciro is so important. He's a leader, a winner, and an amazing player. Yes, I think, Alistair, the secret of this team is that Lazio has so many leaders. Ciro, definitely. Marco Parola as well. Acerbi. But we saw that Leiva. We saw that when this player was missing, Milinkovic-Savic stepped up, and he became the leader of this team. So I think this is the secret of winning team, is that there's not only one leader. There are multiple leaders in the team, right?
Yeah, and one person I want to throw into the ring there is Pepe Reina, actually. I think that it's about time we complimented Pepe Reina for the impact he's made. It's not been, a decisive, game-changing impact in the sense of making dramatic saves to single-handedly win matches or anything like that. But I think he's the one thing I was struck by today that I tweeted about was his distribution. I think he was fundamental in the way that Lazio kept possession and built attacks today, because the ball went back to him a lot. He was being pressed by the Zenit attack a lot, and his distribution was excellent. Really, really good. I was really impressed with how good he was with his feet. But I think just generally having a player like him to be able to step into Strakosha's shoes while he's out for so long is another massive difference from last season. Silvio Proto didn't really get much of a chance last season, but he also didn't get a chance even when he had chances, if you know what I mean. In the Coppa Italia, in the Europa League, he was still not picked because Inzaghi obviously didn't really see the point of actually picking him, whereas Pepe Reina now can seamlessly kind of slot into that team. And he has the experience, he has that kind of charisma, and seems to just have that kind of that way of fitting in with the team and making them respect him. And I don't know, it seems like he's done really well to very quickly become a fundamental part of the squad. And it's great. I think it's so good when you've got two keepers that you can rely on at that level. So I definitely throw him in there as well when we're talking about leadership.
Yeah, definitely. I think the positive of this team is there are a lot of leaders. Yellow's 19. If Zenit beats Bruges, we don't even need any points. Can't see Zenit wanting to win for Europe. Yeah, the Zenit obviously have to get points if they want to reach at least the Europe League. So this can happen, obviously. Still, I want to go to Dortmund and try to win it, because we dominate Borussia at home, Alistair, to be honest. I think Lazio played maybe the best match of the season against Borussia Dortmund. So I think we can do it again, especially considering there shouldn't be fans there. So especially if Inzaghi will pick the starting 11, I think we have a good chance of beating Borussia and reaching the first spot of the group. So I think, especially if Lazio keep playing like that, we can do it. And then definitely Zenit wants to go in Europe League, so they'll try to fight in the last two matches. They have Club Brugge next Wednesday, but they have even Borussia in the last one. So maybe they can still get a point from Borussia Dortmund that already qualified. Maybe we'll concede something. Too optimistic?
Yeah, well, I thought it was quite interesting. Inzaghi before this game tonight was asked about if whether qualification is Lazio's objective or finishing top of the group, and I think he said something like, "I've been asking myself that question last night, trying to work it out." I think qualifying from this group is definitely first and foremost the priority, but if the opportunity is there, I mean, which it is. I mean, let's not beat around the bush here. Lazio have won 2 out of 4 games so far, and one of those games was against Dortmund. Now, obviously, that was a home match, and the circumstances were a little bit different. But we are, by the looks of things, Milinkovic-Savic has tested negative, by the way, today. So he's going to be back available, hopefully. Fingers crossed we don't have any more COVID positives in the next week before the Dortmund game. But yeah, I mean, why not? I think Dortmund will go into that game as favourites, but home advantage, yes, it's not what it used to be.
Doesn't count anymore, right?
Especially in a place like Dortmund.
No.
That's a huge part. I mean, that would have been brilliant for us as fans as well if there were fans allowed and we could have, done that trip. It would have been an amazing away day. But yeah, without fans, that's not what it would otherwise be. So I think I'm really excited about that game now. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a real test of where this Lazio team is, because we know they're a confidence team, right? And their confidence is going to be so high now after all this.
Simone Inzaghi spoke to Mediaset after the match. He said, "This is what I asked to the team before the game. It was really important match. We played very well. We could have scored more goals, but let's not forget we played against Zenit. That was first seed of the group. So we have been very good to make it look like an easy match. Let's not forget they are a very technical team, and we saw it in the second half. They played with 9 strikers, something like that. We struggle a little bit in Russia, but today we played a great match, and the players have been amazing. About Ciro Immobile, we all know what Ciro Immobile means for us. He's been great. After 2 weeks that he didn't play, we all know why. He came back. He played against Crotone with only 1 day and a half of training. Today he had an incredible performance. For us, it's really, really important. I said it to the players. This is a big chance. We were recovering a lot of players for COVID or injury. We are much better now than before the break. If we think that how we played against Bruges and Zenit away, once in 13 players, the other one in 14, we have been very good in getting a point out of that situation. But today we needed to win, and we've been good to do it. And then talking about against Immobile Parolo, he said they are very important for the team. They're very good players. They help each other. Again, about Dortmund, the next match is going to be a tough match, and we'll try to get there in the best position, best formation possible. It's going to be a tough match, but now our head is focused to Udinese, that it's the next match in Serie A. Because yes, as we said in the other time, now Lazio has other 4 easy, let's call it like that, match in Serie A that would be really important. But again, I think after this performance, and considering that Milinkovic-Savic will be back, Strakosha will be back, I mean, we have everything we need to go to Dortmund and win against Borussia.
Yeah, well, good work with your quick fire translating there. Yeah, I mean that has to be the aim, right? I mean, it has to be the aim to go there and win. I mean, it's worth remembering that obviously topping the group gives us a much more favourable draw for the last 16. I don't know. I do wonder. I mean, I'll put this out to the people who are watching right now. I do wonder a little bit, because of the fact that we had a slightly mixed response when we asked listeners and Lazio fans about what they wanted from the group draw to begin with. There was a bit of a mix about whether we wanted a really easy group, which is kind of what we ended up with. Not really easy, but one of the easier ones, or if they wanted, a bit the big clubs. And don't give me that face. I mean, it is one of the easier groups. I'll just finish this point though. So my question now would be whether, given the group we've just had, the fans generally would be wanting to get through to the next round and get, say, Shakhtar or a kind of less glamorous opponent with the chance of getting to the quarterfinals, or if we want to actually be able to take on, say, Manchester United or something. For me, it's always the best chance of getting to the next round, but I think there are people who'd like to take on the big team,
We played against probably the best youngster in Europe. I mean, how can you say this is an easy group? I mean, Haaland, Borussia Dortmund.
Artem Djube.
Say again?
Artem Djube.
Yeah. I mean, Borussia Dortmund is one of the best team in Europe. We already have Gazzetta that is good enough to say bad things about Lazio, and probably tomorrow will write, well, this was a Coppa Italia group stage, it wasn't a Champions League group stage for Lazio. I can see it, or saying it was never a penalty on Ciro Immobile. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But this was a tough group. Zenit, number 1 in Russia. Borussia Dortmund, great team, great players. Club Brugge, still one of the best team in Belgium. So, it wasn't that easy. Said this, I want to play against Manchester United because it's a big team and I think it's definitely a team that Lazio can win. Definitely a team that Lazio can beat. But they are big names, so beating Manchester United, it would be. But I think Gazzetta wouldn't come out the day afterwards. They would have a strike to not talk about Lazio beating. Already they were able, when Lazio beat Borussia Dortmund, to talk about Torino. So if
can we have one night without Gazzetta, please?
Yeah, we'll try. Fantastic is asking, when is Lulic expecting to return? Well, he cannot return in the Champions League till January, but he can be eligible for the Serie A. So I believe in the next couple of weeks he should be back, but not for the Champions League. For the Champions League, we have to wait January. So
yeah, he is back in training though.
Yeah.
So where he's getting there. Yeah, it'll be quite interesting to see what happens when he is back, given that Maricic and Faris have both been competing for that position. If Lulic goes straight back in there, or if he needs to fight for his place, or
I think Inzaghi will rotate the players with Champions League and Serie A, etc. He'll have to rotate. Let's not forget that Lulic is 35, 36. So he's not able to play both matches, 2 matches a week, like we saw Radu. Radu didn't play today, so I think this is what's going to happen. Jim V says that Zenit had 2 very good strikers on the bench, Azmoun and Driussi. They could have been way more dangerous. Yes, as I said, Zenit is not a bad team. Azmoun has been linked to Lazio, I don't know, for 25 years now. He's 26 now. I think they started to link him to Lazio when he was 16. So, yeah, I was expecting something more from him. And so, yeah, I think he didn't do that much. One question, Alistair, but Malcolm wasn't a Roma player. Why he's playing for Zenit? I'm a little bit confused there.
Well, he finally made it to Rome. Finally landed at Ciampino, so I think
we should talk to Machante and say he's there, right?
I get the feeling somebody has told him tonight, but
but by the way, another player that doesn't. Yeah, he has numbers, but was useless today.
Who, Malcolm?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a FIFA player.
Yeah.
I feel like he's one of these players everyone thinks is really good because he's really fast on FIFA or something. I mean, that's just my impression from watching, 60 minutes of him or whatever it was today. But yeah, interestingly, just seeing some of these comments appearing in the chat here about in reference to what I said, and yeah, it was. I've lost it now, but yeah, I saw Yepe said he's only really scared of Bayern and Liverpool.
Yeah, and, I'm starting to believe that they can do well against anyone. Only Bayern and Liverpool are too scary.
And there's another comment about Lazio always being good against big teams, so I wouldn't mind PSG. See, people are feeling confident here, Vittorio.
Yeah, again, I think this team can play against any big team. Obviously, and I don't know if we talked about it in the past, when you're playing against Liverpool, you cannot do what Gasperini did, right? Playing with a very high defense, because they have Salah, Mane, they're so speedy attackers that you have to track back. You cannot give them so much space. But I think Inzaghi is a little bit smarter than Gasperini on that side. So, yes, I think there are a lot of teams that are very good, to be honest. Same thing, Paris Saint-Germain. I mean, they have so many talented players. Still, I think when Lazio played as its best with Milinkovic Savic, Luis Alberto, etc., I think we can beat any team. Obviously, thanks to Inzaghi preparation. So, I mean, I would go with Manchester United. For me, would be perfect. So let's see.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think that would be the right mix of a kind of big name, but actually quite a flawed team. which I guess is what you could even say the same thing about Barcelona, although they've been doing okay in the Champions League, I suppose. But you know, no, I'm not going to go and say that we won Barcelona. That's a terrible idea. And we're not even through to the knockout rounds yet. So, but I mean, worst case scenario is we end up in the Europa League now. So
yep, that's official.
It's worth pointing out that even then, you know, what we've achieved already is already better than what we achieved the last time we were in the Champions League 13 years ago. I think we finished bottom of the group. So that's something, you know.
Yeah, and again, let's not forget that there is Juventus, Inter, Atalanta, all rated higher than Lazio, and Lazio is the only Italian team still undefeated. So you know, this is another thing to point out. And Lazio is the only Italian team that went playing against Club Brugge without 12 players, without Ciro Immobile and so on, and again against Zenit. So it wasn't an easy situation, and Lazio was able to get 1 point. So yeah, I think this is something that we have to point out. This was a great performance from Lazio. And the other important thing, Alasdair, is that this was a must-win match, because if Lazio doesn't win today, then all this discussion we're having are pretty much useless, because if Lazio doesn't win today, the qualification it's much difficult. So having the pressure of winning in such important competition like the Champions League for a team like Lazio that it's not used to play this important competition, it's very important, because it tells you that the team is ready, that the team can handle the pressure, because something is playing when you're underdog, something is when you have to win and you're the favorite. So I think this is another very important thing that Lazio proved today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I do generally think that this Lazio team just plays a lot better when they get their tails up like that, and it's amazing the difference it can make when they're in the mood. And the better they play, the more often they're in the mood. That was a huge part of their run last season when they went on that 23-game unbeaten run, or 21-game, I can't remember now. But a huge part of that was just that momentum, and the more they won, the more ways they found to win, the more confidence they had, and the more belief that they get, the better they play. It was that perfect cycle, really, of just one game went into another, and it didn't really matter almost who you picked or how many days there were between games after a certain point, because it was just they just believed they were going to win every match they were in. And I started to get not quite that same feeling tonight, but it's been 8 games now unbeaten for Lazio in all competitions, and I did just get that same kind of buzz tonight, where it was like, wow. I mean, sometimes this team do just have those nights, like Dortmund was one of them, where they just remind you, my God, this is a really good team. There's a lot of good players here, and often they've shown their flaws. Often we've had issues, whether it's rotation or selection, whatever it is. But you get these nights that really instill that belief in you once again, and tonight was one of those nights. I think that's the players are going to feel the same way, and yeah, they will believe they can do this.
Can I say something? I didn't think Lazio played perfectly today. I think there were a couple of bad mistakes. I think Lazio could have played better today. So I think on one side, this is encouraging, because the ceiling is still not reached. I think Lazio can improve. I thought Leva didn't play well today. I thought the Zenit goal, Acerbi wasn't perfect there. A couple of attacks, we played it poorly. We could have finished better. So against Dortmund, probably Lazio played perfectly. Tonight, we made some mistakes. I think Lazio didn't play an incredible match. We could have performed better. So I think it's a positive thing, because it tells you that this is not the limit. Lazio can still do better, without forgetting that we didn't have Strakosha, we didn't have Milinkovic Savic, Luis Felipe came in the second half, Lulic is out, etc., etc. So I think that probably the most encouraging thing is we won today and still we didn't play perfectly.
Yeah, didn't play perfectly in terms of individual performances yet. You're right, the goal was really poor. It was a really poor time to concede the goal and switch off.
Yeah.
I will accept that we can now talk about that now that we've been talking for a while. Yeah, and it was really uncharacteristic, I feel, from Acerbi as well, because generally I think that's one of the strongest parts of his games, is that he really enjoys and thrives in those kind of one-on-ones with big strikers. I mean, he's done it against Zapata, he's done it against Dzeko, and really done good jobs in those kind of man marking roles. And although he wasn't man marking Juba tonight throughout the game, that was his kind of job at that time, and he just wasn't close enough. Pretty simple. But yeah, I mean, look, it wasn't perfect performance, but they still put in a performance in which they won 3-1 and could have won by more goals. So if that's not perfection, then you wonder how good perfection is going to be. It's going to be pretty brilliant, isn't it?
Well, again, I thought Lazio could have won 5-1 today. So I don't know if that's perfection, but
without being perfect, and with Milinkovic-Savic, with Escalante, with players still, Lulic, you know, there are players yet to come back, Strakosha. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said for that, I think.
Do you agree with Jimmy V? We have the players to take on anyone, especially if we play and press like we know we can.
Well, I mean, one of the huge differences since last season has been that Lazio have become a team for the big games. That used to be something we were so bad at. Whenever we played Juventus, for example, it was almost like there was no point in watching it because the team didn't believe they could get a result, and in Serie A especially, they just didn't really turn up for those matches. From last season onwards, something changed. You know, a switch was flicked. I think maybe after particularly the 3-1 win against Juventus in Serie A, and then they beat them 3-1 again in the Super Cup, and then we beat Inter, and you know, there have been a string of big results in the last year or so against big teams. So Juventus consider themselves, even if no one else considers them, a contender to win the Champions League. And Lazio have a very good record against Juventus for a start. And now if they can go and beat teams like Dortmund and prove that they're capable of doing it there, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say we can't be afraid of anyone, because I don't think Lazio's best approach is to kind of go gung ho into the Champions League in the way that Atalanta did, for example. I think that suits Atalanta more than it suits Lazio. But there's no reason to think that this team doesn't have enough ability to do it. I think they need to stick to their principles and trust in the quality of the squad. And I think if we have our strongest squad out there, we can give anyone a game. And I guess we just have to wait and see if that's enough or not.
Yeah, again, as we said, something changed. I think even Inzaghi improved, become a better manager. And now the team is not only ready, but I think mentally they know they can beat bigger team. They know that Juventus, Borussia Dortmund are big teams, are important teams, but Lazio can beat them. They have a chance every time they come in and play. And this is the biggest difference, because I remember the first years against Juventus, we hardly tried. So I think Inzaghi improved, the players learn, and that's the result. Because this is not a very young team, but let's not forget that players like Marco Parolo, this was the first time that he played the Champions League and scored in the Champions League, obviously. And you know, we have on one side we have Reina and Leiva that has big Champions League experience. On the other one, we have Parolo, Lulic, that are older players that never played in the Champions League. So this is a mixed team. And again, we have people from the bench like Akpa Pro etc., ready to come in. And again, they don't have experience, but they definitely are able to compete in this level.
Yeah, no, I think you make a really good point about Inzaghi, because it's often easy to forget how inexperienced he actually is as a coach, in that he only took the Lazio job in 2016. That was only 4 years ago, and he's been thrust into the limelight and thrust into European competition immediately, and his development was so quick and so successful that I think the expectations on him were raised probably quicker than they should have been, in a way. But you're right. I mean, he is still a guy who's a very young coach, who's kind of learning how to do things as he goes along. I think he's benefited from and actually been an architect in the fact that this squad has been kept together. There's been a lot of this talk in the last few days about Lazio being a family, around the Angelo Peruzzi story, and that's something that's been going on ever since Inzaghi was there, and I don't think that's a coincidence. I think he's really helped cultivate that atmosphere, that family atmosphere, that unity in the squad as a huge part of his management style. But you're right. I think that the fact that Lazio play better in big games, or they have the right belief, I guess, the right approach to big games, that does come from the coach. I mean, I watched, for example, Napoli-Milan on the weekend, on Sunday night. Gattuso came out after that game and said, you know, he was furious about his team's approach in big matches, and he said, "Well, that's obviously coming from me." And he put it on his own shoulders. And he said, "I'm not giving this team the belief they need, or the instructions they need to go and approach these games in the right way." And it was quite enlightening, I thought, to hear a coach like him actually take responsibility in a way. He also criticizes players, but to take responsibility for that from a coaching perspective. Which is something obviously Inzaghi's done.
I agree, and I saw Napoli-Milan, and one of the problems is Napoli has a lot of players that are overrated. Manolas is a defender who
it's terrible.
He's so far overrated, and he hasn't got the winning mentality. And it's not a coincidence that with him, Roma never won nothing. Koulibaly, it's a great player, but I think for being a good defender, he makes far too many mistakes. Insigne, etc. So, to answer to Enrique's question, other teams have become better. Yes, but seeing Napoli-Milan, I don't think that much. I think Lazio is still better. And the mentality, Lazio mentality is much better than this team. I don't know, Alistair, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're 8 games into the season. There's another 30 to go. Let's remind ourselves of that for a minute. There's always kind of very hot takes at this point of every season, and generally they tend to revolve around whoever's near the top of the table being Scudetto contenders. This time last season, Lazio were yet to really begin their run, which made them actually Scudetto contenders. Let's not forget that Lazio aren't fast starters, neither are Atalanta. So all of a sudden, nobody's really talking about Lazio or Atalanta anymore because they haven't started as fast as everyone else. I think we're only really going to know how much those teams, Napoli, Milan, Roma, have actually improved is by the time, we're Christmas, New Year, at least, because that's what you need really to be able to make something of a season. You need consistency. I think Milan have improved a lot, actually, a lot more than I thought they had. I still don't think they've improved as much as people think they are in terms of actually being Scudetto contenders. That's not where I see them. But I think they'll, in my opinion, be much more serious top 4 contenders than they have been in recent years. We'll have to wait and see. But I don't think there's been like this massive improvement from those teams in the way that people are painting it right now. If you think about it, the gap at the moment in the table. By the way, if you want to talk about Gazzetta, they before the weekend they talked about this 6-point gap between 1st and 8th, and they didn't include Lazio in it, despite Lazio being 6 points off the top.
Obviously, I'm not surprised. Well,
anyway, let's not go back there, but
yeah. A couple of journalists did a sort of poll saying who's the most decisive striker in Italy: Lukaku, Cristiano Ronaldo, Ibrahimovic. And where is Ciro Immobile? I mean, the golden boot. How can you forget? But yeah, let's not talk about that. Finishing the question, I think the winning helps winning. So the fact that Milan have started winning, this give them extra confidence. This is for me the biggest problem for Lazio. Stefan Scarpulla, Inzaghi Coppa Italia Champions League double. Let's go. I hope so. You're right, Stefan. And sell the plane and buy another left back. Well, that could be an idea. That could be an idea. But unfortunately, the plane is not Lazio. We only rent it. So, but yeah, Alazer, to finish, what about Coppa Italia and Champions League? Where do I sign?
What about Serie A? Let's see the treble.
Cool. I'm good enough with the Champions League and Coppa Italia.
Yeah. Well, it's a weird season, as everyone keeps saying. We don't have fans in the stadiums. Well, this depends where you are, I suppose, but it's a more unpredictable season than ever. So why not Lazio for the Champions League? I don't know what the odds are right now. If I'm not a betting man, but it might be worth a look.
Yeah. Let's see if pop up. But yeah, I mean, it's not unbelievable. It's not impossible, especially Coppa Italia, I would say. But with such a strange season, with such a difficult season, it wouldn't be a surprise that they give only Juventus Inter. How can it be? Lazio, it's 81.
80 to 1.
81, 8-1. Yeah, it's Italian odds. You are not used to it. Caesar give you 100. So if you bet €1, you get 100.
All right.
So
that's pretty good.
Yep.
I mean, I don't actually think Lazio are going to win the Champions League, but it's kind of betting on a dream, isn't it? So.
But the funny thing is, Atalanta has worse. Atalanta is like 46 and Lazio is 81. On Caesar, Atalanta is 33 and Lazio 100. I would go the opposite. I thought Lazio has better chances, but I don't know. No, do you think Atalanta has more chances?
Well, I'm surprised that's the case now. I mean, especially Lazio got a 4-point gap to qualify. It's not even sure Atalanta will get out of their group at the moment. I mean, They've got Liverpool tomorrow. They got absolutely steamrollered by them last time, and they've got Ajax to contend with as well. So, yeah, I'm surprised there's that big a difference between the two. I guess Atalanta are taken more seriously probably by the bookies now because they came so close to the semi-finals last season. Might be something to do with it.
Well, we're going to see. Alistair, I think we can wrap it up here. I think we went a little bit longer than expected, but
yeah,
fun.
But we won, so who cares?
Yep. I mean, we won the second match in the Champions League. We're still undefeated, and we are close to reach the next stage. So we have to celebrate with all of you. So thank you guys for joining us. Remember, if you want to support the podcast, you can subscribe to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Lazio Lounge. You have the link below. You can find us on Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes. So please reach us there. And we're going to talk after Serie A. It's Udinese-Lazio or Lazio-Udinese? I don't remember now.
Lazio-Udinese, Sunday, 12:30.
Lunchtime, lunch match. Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. If you are in Europe or if you are in the United States, have a nice day.
Thanks, everyone. Ciao, ciao.